The question at hand is, are you the world's dumbest freight broker? Well, here, I'm not calling you dumb, but I can tell you that I have been dumb myself many times as a freight broker and as an entrepreneur. So today, I'm going to share with you some of the dumbest things that I've done, as well as some of the dumbest things I've seen other freight brokers and freight agents doing, some of which were startups and some of which had significant experience in the industry. Okay, so we're gonna go over 7 things that I see that make up and comprise the world's dumbest freight broker, right? Number 1 on the list, these are in no discernible order, too much overhead. Now, whether you are a startup or whether you are an experienced broker or agent, too much overhead can kill your business. What do I mean by that? Well, the cool part about being a freight broker is you can get a freight broker or a freight agent. You can get started with literally a phone, internet, and a load board. Those 3 things. Very low overhead, right? All right, so very, very inexpensive monthly overhead for a freight broker, freight agent. So there is no need to go out and overspend. What do I mean by that? If you're a startup, you don't need to go out and spend $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 creating a website. You don't need to do that. Matter of fact, if you're a part of Freight Broker Bootcamp, I have an entire system where you can get your website up and running for probably $50 or $100. What? We've got templates. We've got a whole process in place where you can do that. Very low expense, okay? So you want to keep your expense down. And that also goes for people that are experienced freight brokers. Sometimes, they'll start investing in developing their own software, paying really high expensive cost for existing software. Maybe they're hiring too fast, right? Or they pay too much for some of the people that they hire. They overpay for hires, or they hire too fast or too many people. So too much overhead is a real curse for any business. So you have to have the right ratio of revenue and profit to overhead. All right, number 2, slow billing and invoicing. All right, so you as a freight broker, the first part of your job is to find shipments and then move those shipments, right? So you got to move shipments from point A to point B. A shipper is going to pay you $1,000. You're going to pay the carrier $850. You're going to make $150 a load. Very simple, basic process, $150 in profit. But the fact is, you don't make any profit until, number 1, you invoice your shipper. Number 2, collect that invoice. And number 3, pay the carrier. So you've got to be strong on the financial management side. You need to bill. You need to invoice. I can't tell you how many times I have seen brokers getting invoices from carriers, right, with all the bill of lading and all the signed paperwork, and they could easily invoice their shippers, but they wait 3 days, 5 days, a week, 10 days before they ever bill those shippers because they're busy, or they do everything manual, or they don't have any automation. So billing and invoicing and collections, okay, the financial management part of this, if you do not understand this, if you do not manage this properly, if you do not keep your eye on the ball, it is going to cause a serious cash flow issue, and that could have major implications on your business, okay? Number 3, not having a website and a LinkedIn presence. Now, as a startup, or as an experienced broker, this applies to both of you. If you do not have a website and you do not have a LinkedIn presence for both your business and your personal profile, you are absolutely missing the boat, because here's the facts. When you do outreach to a prospect, to a shipper, all right, one of the first things they are going to do is search you up on Google and search you up on LinkedIn. Because what they're trying to do is, if they have any level of interest, need, or desire to want to do business with you, they are going to vet you. They're not going to ask you. They're going to vet you behind the scenes. They're going to use the world's most powerful tool, Google, who knows everything, and they're going to do all that vetting without you. And if they search for you and your company and you don't show up on Google and you don't show up on LinkedIn, you've immediately destroyed all of your credibility. You became completely irrelevant, and the probability of them doing business with you is slim to none and slims out to lunch. Okay, so you got to make sure you have a website, and you got to make sure you have a LinkedIn presence. Now, LinkedIn is free, costs you nothing to set that up. The website, again, depending upon the size of your business, you don't need to go out and spend thousands of dollars as a startup. in order to get your website up and running. Just enroll in Freight Broker Bootcamp, and that's part of our program, right? We show you and teach you and help you to actually get that set up for less than $100. Okay, if your entire website set up for $100. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4, complacency. Complacency is the curse of almost any successful person. Whether you're a successful athlete, whether you're a successful entrepreneur, whether you're a successful husband or spouse, whether you're a successful freight broker or freight agent. Complacency is when you get into a comfort zone and you stop growing and you stop doing the things that got you there. So as a startup freight broker, one of the things you have to do is you have to go out and get customers, right? You have to sell, you have to prospect. Well, here's what I see all the time. Freight brokers and freight agents, they'll go out, they'll get their first 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 clients, and then all of a sudden they stop prospecting. They stop doing the things that got them from 0 to 6 figures or 6 figures to 7 figures, and they just stop doing it. They become complacent. They become comfortable. They become content. And that's the curse of any entrepreneur, any freight broker, any freight agent. So complacency is definitely a huge mistake. Number 5, not investing in marketing. First of all, you need to, as a freight broker, freight agent, understand the difference between sales and marketing. They're different. Yes, they're related, but they are different. So investing in marketing are things like your website, social media like LinkedIn, search engine optimization, and content marketing. Other types of marketing, right? Whether that be print, whether that be direct mail. I mean, those are different types of marketing, whether that be pay-per-click ads on Google or Bing or paid ads on different social media platforms like LinkedIn or Twitter, right? Those are marketing strategies. Those are marketing initiatives, tactics, campaigns. And that marketing is going to create awareness and drive demand, drive leads, drive conversations, right? So you can't rely exclusively on marketing, but you also shouldn't rely exclusively on sales. It's a mix, right? As a startup, you need to be much more sales oriented. And as you start to grow as a company, become a little bit more experienced, a little bit more sophisticated, have a little bit more cash flow, you definitely need to start implementing more marketing. Okay. Number 6, what do we got here? Oh, this is a huge one. This is a huge one for everybody. Too dependent on load boards. As a freight broker, if you become too dependent on load boards, one of the dumbest things you can do. And here's why. What I mean by this is this. When you first start up as a freight broker, what happens? You don't have any carriers and you don't have any customers, and that's fine. Everybody's got to start somewhere. You get a load from a shipper, you post it to a load board, you search the load board, you find a carrier, you move the load. Hooray! Awesome. Now, the key is you want to continue to develop the relationship with that, not only with that shipper, but also with that carrier. Because if you do, and you develop and enhance that relationship, you are not going to have to go back to the load board and just hope that you're able to cover freight all the loads that you have from your shippers, right? It will become a lot more predictable. What you want to do is you want to generate new carrier relationships from the load board, but then you want to take those relationships off the load board and you want to start enhancing them. You want to start figuring out how you can do business together, how you can have a mutually beneficial relationship rather than just being a load board jockey. And I see this not only with startups, because that's very common, but I see this with experienced freight brokers where they're still what I call post and hope brokers. You know, they get a load from a shipper, they post and hope that they're going to cover it. They don't have a real solid relationship with a good base of carriers that can actually provide a higher level of service and trust and overall better experience for them and their customers. And they struggle, right? So being too dependent on load boards is a huge no-no. All right. And number 7, the last one. All right. Lean in here really quick. This is an important one. Not investing in income producing skills. What are income producing skills? Well, I'll give you a few. Sales, marketing, communications, negotiations, right? Those are income producing skills, particularly sales and marketing, right? Those are very, very driven in the income category. And those skills you need to continue to develop, right? I started out my sales career back in 1994. And I immersed myself. You probably heard the story. I immersed myself into sales because I was the worst salesperson they had ever hired. But then I started figuring a few things out. I started modeling some people that I was working with. I started doing some, developing skills through books and courses and all those sorts of things. And I got better. And I got better very rapidly. But then what happened is I ran into, even myself, you run into kind of a plateau and you stop developing those skills. And then what happens is, it's that old adage, if you don't use it, you lose it. And so what happens is you need to continue to invest in your skills. Sales, it's not a destination that you're ever going to reach becoming a sales master or a sales expert. You have to continue to learn because it continues to evolve as technology evolves, as our world evolves, as people evolve, right? As business evolves. You got to understand sales changes, marketing changes. Imagine if you were stuck in 1995 marketing mode today in 2022, soon to be 2023. You'd be dead in the water, right? Because a lot of the things that were relevant and contextual and profitable in 1995 don't work today. A lot of digital, obviously. So you need to continue to develop your skills, right? And so that's part of what Freight Broker Bootcamp is all about. That's part of what my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator is all about, continuing to develop those skills, all right? So if you're curious about developing your sales skills, if you need help getting customers, how to get customers, how to get shippers, right? Especially if you're a startup or even if you're if you've been going at this for a little bit and you still feel as though like there's more opportunity there, here's what I want you to do. I want you to check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist. That is the waitlist for my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator program. Now, you can't enroll now. It's sold out. But in the next few months, I will be opening it back up for enrollment. And you got to be on the wait list in order to be a part of it. That's where I take this piece of my brain and I share everything I know about freight broker tactics, tools, strategies, system, my entire system that helped me to do over $200 million as a freight broker, right? So that's the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. But if you're just getting started and you need some help, right? You need some guidance in how to get started as a freight broker or freight agent, you can check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Again, we've trained over 10,000 students, been in business over a decade, and we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee. Regardless of where you are right now, check it out. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next week on the next Freight Broker Bootcamp Live.